And sometimes we get so rigid that we're somewhat pharisaical in our American churches to say, that's one thing I love about smaller churches, more than larger churches. There may be a freedom there to say, yeah, come on in. Share that song that lasts 15 minutes. You know, it's kind of crazy. I'm going to share one with you here in a second to end this, but this is what it sounds like when you come out of our services, the 4 Swahili service, and I'm really working towards intentional either incorporation for them into their own church or intentional integration into the church. But if you were to come out into our congregation after our 10:30 service and standing out in the commons area, what you would hear is something, it would freak people out. We have a lot of, in the Midwest, there's more retirees than there are in Alaska. And so these people get a little flipped out sometimes, and I hope the volume's turned up on this a bit. But so this is kind of what it would sound like coming out into our about 11:45, 12 o'clock, Central Baptist Church, Sioux Falls. Is this going to, you know, it's going to sound a little bit like that. And the reality is they got the volume turned up so high in the second chapel room that we have in our church that people can't get over that and see the beauty of the worship of the African nations right in our midst. And all they can do is complain about the sound and the noise and things like that because it doesn't fit our paradigm of what it's supposed to sound like, right? So obviously this isn't anything but Lion King, right? But so you didn't know it, but it's a worship song, and it's going to end here in a second. And so, you know, but when we got into Russia, we had some crazy stuff too. There was the Dom Malifi, the House of Prayer. And all of a sudden we had Tuvans, who speak Tuvan as their mother tongue, and have their own form of singing from the Silk Road days, the Mongolian hordemen. And they would come out and have their own language and their own singing styles. And then the Russians had their own. You got to understand, the Russians were outnumbered 4-1 by the Tuvans, where we were at. But still, they were the dominant culture of the Russian Federation. And so they tended to bring in their sad, minor key songs. Let's just keep Jesus in the grave for a while. Okay? It's Sunday. I know it's the first day of the week, but yeah, low in the grave he lay. You know, and they're always minor keys. Okay? That was the Russians. The Tuvans are totally different. They got a clippity-cloppity 4/4 beat, fast, fun time. And this is what they would probably sound like a little bit. And they taught me a little bit, and I learned along the way of how Tuvans might worship. And it sounds a little bit like this. They would get their throats going, a little singing called kumi, throat singing, and they would do a little bit like this. And the Russians would just kind of get chills in their spine. What? That can't be glorifying to God. But it is. It's the worth of their ethnicity being there. And they would just go like this. They'd have to warm it up, of course. Okay. Exhale really bad, stinks bad. Don't get in front of them when they do that. But they warm it up. And then they do it again. Okay, and they get this thing going with the 3 different tones in their voice, or double tones. It's kume, throat singing. And so they put songs together, and this was one of them. It was kind of a top 10 hit a few years ago. They found out that This Is the Day in Tuvan sounds pretty cool. But they would do it like this. Hallelujah.